I'd like to call to order the Board of Supervisors for Isle of Wight, December 11th, 2025 meeting. And our next first item is the approval of the agenda. And I do believe that we have one, but members, do we have any changes to the agenda aside from adding to new business? It'd be 16A, and it would be a discussion with Windsor Fire. That is the one change I know of. Any other changes?
Mr. Chairman, with said changes, I'd like to make a motion for the approval of the agenda.
Okay, Madam Clerk?
Ms. Roundtree?
Yes.
Mr. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Acree?
Yes.
Chairman Rosen?
Yes, so moved. At this time, Bobby?
Yes, sir.
We need a motion to move to closed session pursuant to Section 2.23711A of the Code of Virginia for the limited purpose of a discussion regarding the appointment of specific employees to county boards, committees, or authorities as set forth in the agenda, as well as a discussion of the performance of specific employees, namely the county clerk and the county attorney, pursuant to subsection 1.
Move.
Madam Clerk?
Ms. Roundtree?
Yes.
Mr. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Acree?
Yes.
Chairman Rosen?
Yes, so moved. We will go to closed session. We will reconvene our open meeting. Bobby?
You'll need a motion to return to open session.
So move.
Madam Clerk?
Ms. Roundtree? Yes. Mr. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Acree?
Yes.
Chairman Rosie?
Yes, so moved.
And now, Mr.
Bobby?
Chairman, you'll need a motion pursuant to Section 2.23712 of the Code of Virginia certifying that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements and only such public business matters as identified in the motion to move to closed session were heard, discussed, or considered.
Motion.
So move.
Madam Clerk?
Ms. Roundtree? Yes. Mr. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Acree?
Yes.
Chairman Rosie?
Yes, so moved. At this time, we have a special guest tonight to lead us in our invocation. Miss Lori Rosie, if you would please come forward.
Thank you, and it's with privilege that I do so. As I was driving here, I drove through the county and kind of took a different route, and just to appreciate and think about all the diversity, the cities, the areas that are populous. We just ate in Smithfield but a few nights ago, and the areas that are still green and stuff. And it was with renewed thankfulness for each one of you that serve our county as leaders. And I just wanted to, as a citizen and one that appreciates, I wanted to thank each one of you for the time and the effort and the energy and the care and concern that you lead. And so I've been invited to start our meeting with prayer, so let's pray. Father, I thank you for our beautiful county. Lord, I thank you for this Christmastide season that we are embarking on. Lord, I thank you that you cared so much about us that you sent your only Son so that we could be close and with you. Lord, I thank you for each of these public servants, for the time and effort and energy with which they've led. Lord, I pray that you would bless them. Lord, I thank you for those that are coming after these servants that will be taking up that mantle. Lord, I thank you especially for my husband who will be stepping away from this. I thank you for the time that has been spent and the friendships and the privilege of leading the county. Lord, as they begin the meeting now, I ask for your wisdom for each one of them, for their temperance, for their patience to listen to the concerns. Lord, I thank you for the citizens that are gathered here and those that are not gathered here. Lord, I pray that your blessing on the county, the blessing on the citizens during this Christmas season, and for safety and for good tidings. In Christ's name, amen.
Please stand for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please be seated. Okay. At this time, we have our citizen comments, and I would like to read in front of you. This time is for the purpose of allowing members of the public to present any matter which, in their opinion, deserves the attention of the board. We ask that you state your name and address and/or election district, and that you address the board and not staff or the audience. We ask that you limit your comments to 4 minutes. A timer with a lighting system shall be used for keeping track of a speaker's time. Speakers will receive a yellow light warning 1 minute prior to the expiration of the presentation time. Speakers will receive a red light at the expiration of their time and will be asked to end their comments. If a speaker represents a group of 10 or more individuals that are in attendance, the speaker is allowed 6 minutes and the group he represents forfeits their right to speak on the same topic. Speakers may not donate their unused time to another speaker. Comments or undecided public hearing topics are not appropriate for a citizen comment. Public comment shall not be used to make political speeches, private advertisements, or personal attacks. We value your comments and we welcome your input. We, as a board, will seek to address your concerns in as an efficient and timely manner as possible. With that, I have Volpe Boykin.
Good evening, Board.
Good evening.
Mr. Robinson. Volpe Boykin, 28359 Walters Highway, District 5. I'm here tonight at the last meeting where he's on the Board of Supervisors to thank Supervisor Don Rosie for his years of service to the county. Those that know how county government works know that the Board of Supervisors members, like the other boards that serve the citizens of the county, are basically volunteer. When you compare the hours spent on the job with what you all are paid, I estimate somewhere on a good year, it's about $2 an hour. Literally. Maybe. I see. Supervisor Rosie has always been honest and when possible voted the way the majority of his constituents wanted, especially on major issues like the juvenile prison that was planned for the town limits of Windsor. There would have been a disaster because a year later, 2 of the children who were 19 and 20 attacked the guards, stabbed them, and escaped. Glad that didn't happen in Windsor. The 7-day-a-week, 12-hour-a-day public shooting range that would have bordered the village of Walters, that he helped put a stop to. And he voted against the huge Carver solar project that most people in our district despise. It passed, but it didn't pass with his vote. He may have lost an election, but those of us that know the system, and sadly not many do, if you think they do, just ask sometime when you walk up to somebody on the street and say, what House of Delegates district are you in? What Senate district are you in? What congressional district are you in? Who are your representatives? You'll find what I find, about 85–90% do not have a clue until they go in the voting booth and see a R or a D beside somebody's name. He did the best with what he was given to work with, and his efforts are very much appreciated. I, like many others in our district, are very sad to see him go. I wish him the best, and since he, like myself, is not getting any younger, I hope he puts forth as much effort into enjoying life as he has put in to make the county a better place. Thank you.
Thank you. Rex Alphen.
Board, I almost said fellow board members, but I had to pull back on that. I couldn't let this moment pass without following in Vopie's footsteps there to say a few words to Mr. Rosie about these past 8 years. Having lived that a little bit myself, after perhaps 500 meetings here in Greenbrier and Suffolk and Franklin and Hot Springs and back here and commissions and boards, and after perhaps 1,000 phone calls, I can't imagine, and listening to, I'm going to use the word citizens, can I use the word drone on and on about particular issues and being patient and yes, saying yes ma'am, yes sir, and keeping your composure. After being despised or shunned by some of your fellow citizens, and after being hugged by some of your fellow citizens. After all of this, Dawn, and these 8 years of sacrificing, I have to say thank you. You have been excellent, I think, in your position. Now, you've been a man of integrity, and I don't use these words lightly. You've been responsible, and you've been very ethical. You've had a way, I remember when I served with you on the Planning Commission, of taking very emotional issues and putting them in their proper perspective and calming things down, if you would, unlike Rex Alphen, if you would. So I've always admired that gift you had, and thank you for that. But until you served in the seat that y'all are serving in, no citizen can appreciate the sacrifices that y'all make for us. You just can't describe it. So on behalf of the citizens of Isle of Wight, I'm going to say Carswell District, that's what I always called it, and in my family, I would like to say thank you, Dawn Rosie, for what you've done. And I'll close with this. When Dawn lost the election the next day, he had a sign, a campaign sign, and he said, Rex, this is my new sign. And he turned it around, and on the back it said, free. So you are now free. I'm sure Lori has a long list of honeydews for you to do now. So thank you, Dawn, for all the years you've served.
Thank you so very much, Rex. And many people don't know it, but it was Rex and Deborah that got me started in this whole venture after 17 years on the Planning Commission. But thank you very much. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward with a citizen comment at this time? All right, thank you very much.
Let me know when you want to go hunting.
That closes our public session at this time. Do we have any comments from the board members?
I would like to go ahead and just add, kind of echo what they said, but, you know, working on this board brings you a lot of opportunities that you never see coming, and one of those greatest opportunities has been working with you, Don. I've enjoyed the friendship. I've enjoyed having somebody to bounce things off of. I've enjoyed your providing your insight on things. It's been a real joy working with you. Thank you for your service to the community, not just on the board, but planning commission and as a volunteer, et cetera. But I know you'll continue to do good things, and the friendship will last long after the board.
Yes.
So thank you, sir.
Thank you, Joel.
I would like to say, I've served on the board with Don for the last 8 years or so, and Mr. Rex, he summed it up. He summed it up and said what probably everybody on this board should be seeing. But Don, I have enjoyed you. I've learned a lot from you. We have communicated by phone. We have sat down in different settings and talked, and we disagreed on some things, but we all come together and learn how to be agreeable. So, Don, I thank you for serving the county in the past 8 years, and I hope you continue in one way or the other to continue serving the county after you take a break.
I'll take a little break, and as one famous personality said, I'll be back.
Don, I want to thank you for your mentorship, for your example of faithfulness, and for the many conversations about ag and all of its perils as well as its joys. I think we get each other, and I appreciate that, being kindred spirits in that regard. So appreciate all the conversations and all the time that you've spent with me over the last year or two. I guess it's been 2 years now.
Yeah. Thank you, Renee. I know you're the new kid at the table, so to speak, but
Well, I got to know you when I declared my candidacy, when I walked into the Rueton Hall, and Billy was there, and I announced that I was going to run for 2nd District Supervisor. I didn't know any of the supervisors at that point in time, but I made it a point to contact everybody and managed to meet up with you, Renee, Tom DeStefano, and over the meetings and time that I've got to know you, I've formed a whole new opinion. Just by reading the paper, you don't get the feel of an individual. And those meetings, just getting to know you and what you represented and how you felt about the county, your love for the county and the people, you were an example for me, and I look forward to working with you. And it was a difficult evening, bittersweet, that election night, watching the polls come in. And my biggest hope was to serve with you and learn as much as I could, because you have just eons of experience, and your guidance is just, right there with the love of the county and for the board members, as you were stating earlier, that we may disagree, but we all have a lot of respect for each other, and that's how we get things done. So Don, I hope you still make yourself known around here, and maybe grab a lunch or two while you have all this free time. But thank you very much for giving me the guidance and lessons learned to be able to campaign and win.
very good.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you, and only a phone call away, but you have a great team here. And so I think you'll find it a great spot to be. Well, with that, we'll move on from citizen comments and board comments and move to the consent agenda, I believe.
Mr. Chairman, we have several items for you on the consent agenda. The first being a budget amendment from the Back the Blue campaign grant. This is a resolution to provide $1,500 to support the DARE program within the sheriff's office. Item B is also a grant that the sheriff's office is receiving. This is a grant that will support the program that the sheriff's office has been really a leader in with regard to internet crimes against children. And so this is $10,150 to support the task force that addresses those issues. Item C is a budget amendment for insurance proceeds. As you all know, we periodically get proceeds from the insurance carrier for either accidents or damage to county, either vehicles or property, such as the case here, $6,863 in insurance proceeds. And lastly, well, not lastly, but the last budget amendment is an item that is really cleanup for something that we recently discovered in the budget process. You all added 2 additional sheriff's deputies to begin January 1st. And so that was budgeted. What was not budgeted, and it was a complete oversight, we recently discovered this, was the vehicles for those 2 deputies. And so the cost information is included in your agenda, but the total for that would be $128,800. We're requesting that funding be appropriated from the unassigned fund balance.
Okay.
And then lastly, there are a couple of sets of minutes in your agenda. We'll continue to get those to the point where we get caught up. So you can certainly, if you have not seen those, review those relative to the work session and regular meetings back in May.
Okay. Members, do you have any questions?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the consent agenda as presented.
Okay. No further discussion? Madam Clerk?
Ms. Roundtree?
Yes.
Mr. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Avery?
Yes.
Chairman Rosie?
Yes, so moved. Okay, and at this time, we then have our regional and intergovernmental reports. Start with Mr. Jefferson. Joel?
Today's HR TAC meeting, Mr. Kevin Page has retired from HR TAC, and Mr. Todd Hallisey has accepted that position as the new director. So that was effective today. I encourage our citizens to take a look at what HR TAC does and what it has done. Mr. Hoffman out there knows a lot about that because he served on it also at one time. It's monumental, I guess is a good word, of what HR TAC has done for the region. Most regions don't have this ability, but it's, as it was said today, we've made a difference in a generation when it comes to transportation, and Isle of Wight has been definitely part of that. So we have that change of command, if you will, or direction. So look forward to working with Todd.
Okay. Renee? David?
No.
Just a couple of comments. Today was also my meeting with Harumfa, the Hampton Roads Military Federal Facilities Alliance Group, and I was vice chair of that board, and with the election, the way it turned out, I resigned from my position, and we nominated and elected Mayor Duman out of Suffolk, and he accepted that position. So if we have no other reports, then we'll...
Just one other item, if you don't mind, I'm sorry. Attended we were talking about this earlier, the Evolving Technology Conference. I wasn't able to make the entire conference, but I think that'll grow in the future. Really good information regarding things like, for example, swatting calls, doxing. Swatting, we've had some discussion with county staff about swatting calls and just some of the challenges associated with our IT guys deal with every day on trying to make sure that we're not victims of some of the, I guess you'd say, attacks on our infrastructure. And it was a really good conference, as I guess they'll have it next year. And if so, I encourage others to try to attend, and I will try to attend more of it than what I did. So
Okay.
that's all.
Thank you. Do we have any appointments at this time?
No.
Okay. Then we have special presentations. Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
So, Ms. Roundtree wants to introduce our guest.
Sure. So esteemed colleagues, Chairman Rosie, we have with us this evening, very lucky to have Michelle Winters, who's the president and executive of the Virginia Statewide Community Land Trust. She's been with us all day. We had a small stakeholders meeting where she did a lot of education for us, and she's from Northern Virginia and hung out in Smithfield and went to the holiday luncheon and went by the FedEx store and got lots of work done at Cure Coffee. And so she's had a great day, and she promised to stay around this evening and just brief us on what they're doing at the Virginia Statewide Community Land Trust. It is a way, an avenue, a vehicle for us to, further advance our strategic plan action priority item of affordable and workforce housing. So I think it's very interesting, and I asked her to present, and she accepted. Thank you, Ms. Winters.
All right. It was lovely to be here today. So partnerships for lasting affordability. I always like to point out that this is not a stock image. This is actually 3 of our homes. These are actually in Fairfax County. So what is VSCLT? Well, while I wish that we had chosen a shorter name when we were created, it is what it says. So we are the Virginia Statewide Community Land Trust. We work with partners like yourselves across Virginia to create permanently affordable homes for low and moderate income families. We use what is considered an innovative approach still, although it's been around for 60 years or so. It's called the Community Land Trust Model, and I'll explain that. And we build, this is a new mission statement, so I like paying attention to it. Lasting equity, stability, and opportunity for generations to come. So, a Community Land Trust, it's a 501c3 nonprofit. We were created in 2020, and our origin story is that the short version is that we grew out of a group of Habitat for Humanity organizations who wanted to preserve long-term affordability for the homes that they were creating. They take a lot of effort to create, and they wanted to make them last as long as possible. So they worked with their statewide organization and decided to collaborate on creating this statewide effort. And we are the only purpose-built statewide CLT in the country. There are others that cover most of a state, but they got there kind of over time. We started that way on purpose. And so what is a community land trust? They're nonprofit organizations. They're not necessarily government entities. Most are nonprofits. We're governed by a 3-part board of that's made up of residents, community members, and the public. So that's a best practice that's followed by most community land trusts across the country. And we provide permanently affordable community assets of any kind for generations of families and communities. And so our organization is focused on affordable home ownership, but there are all kinds of opportunities using the community land trust model. And in fact, the original one that people talk about, new communities, in Georgia was a farming co-op. So it's a really great story. Some can do all of this. It just really depends on what that CLT and its board decide to do. So how does a CLT work? Well, the bottom line of a CLT is that it essentially separates the ownership of land from the ownership of the home. And in doing so, it makes that home more affordable because the people who buy that home don't have to buy the land. So we are the long-term landowner, and we partner with people who sell homes, or we sell a home to a qualifying low and moderate income home buyer. Most of them are first-time home buyers, and our most recent, I love to say, is first-generation home buyer. And so this is the kind of need that we serve in the community. So it's a circular process. A family buys the home. They got the affordable price. When they buy the home, they enter into a ground lease with us. So we lease them that land for 99 years, and it's renewable. So what I say, 99 years on repeat. And they have a mortgage on their home, just like anybody else, and mortgage is provided by the same banks, lenders, Fannie, Freddie, Virginia Housing. So they pay off that mortgage over time. They're building equity. And there was an agreement in that ground lease that laid out in advance what the future price they could sell that home would be. So they're growing equity both by paying down their mortgage and by having a growing sale price. It's just not growing as fast as it would if it was potentially left to the market, because we've all seen what's been going on with housing prices. And so it's a modest growth that's a formula that's agreed to in advance. And so when they sell that home, some people think of it as paying it forward. They leave that ownership situation with the equity that they've created. They can go buy a new home in the private market, and many of them do. But the new homeowner that comes in goes through that same process. They get their own 99-year on repeat ground lease, and the process starts again. So there are over 300 of these organizations around the country. There's a large number of housing units covered by those organizations, and that's because, while most of them do focus on home ownership, rental housing is also included. And so the numbers, once you start doing multifamily, numbers get quite large. So there's some rental housing involved in there. In Virginia, we have been doing CLTs since around 2008, but growing a lot in the last few years. So the largest CLT in the state is in Richmond. It's called the Maggie Walker Community Land Trust, and they have over 100 units and are growing fairly rapidly. And the newest is down in Abingdon. It was created by one of the health foundations down in that area. And then we were there right in the middle. I've highlighted on the map some of our existing homes and budding partnerships. And I was planning to go in and put a whole bunch of sort of dots around our area here, because you guys are now one of those partnerships. And I've had conversations with many others in this region. So I hope to put a little green and then a blue house there at some point. So why do people use this interesting and different model? Well, one is I've mentioned it a couple of times, I've used the word permanent affordability. It really is a different model, because you don't have to deal with that expiration of affordability that is constantly hanging over the heads of most organizations and governments that run affordability programs. You know, there's a countdown. You get it started, they have 5 years, 15 years, even if it's 30 years, it's eventually over, and you have to do it all again. And that's why the next issue, so it's by using this model, it keeps all that upfront subsidy that a lot of times the public, whether it's the local agency or the state, that puts that effort and that time and that money into creating that affordability, and it's not just for that one home buyer. So the homes will turn over and over, and so within that 99 years, there's going to be 10 families, perhaps, depending on how often they turn over. And the subsidy is kind of baked into the home at that point. And while you can add subsidy later on, you don't need to, because that price is essentially agreed to in advance. I mentioned it does create wealth. So especially for people who would otherwise be renters and don't have access to that wealth creating opportunity that large majority of Americans do. This is a great opportunity. Some people view it as a starter home, but it doesn't need to be for starters. It can be somebody who's retiring and has never owned a home and wants to retire and will never leave that home until they pass away. And the way that it works in communities by basically stabilizing the price for certain homes in the community, and it wouldn't apply to all the homes in the community. It's applying to a certain number of homes. It really helps create a stability and a comfort level that you're not going to see people get forced out of the community because they can't afford it, the people who are living in the homes. So this is just an illustration of what happens, sort of a generic illustration that shows a home being resold, in this case every 7 years. The market value is growing, but the affordable value, it does grow, but it grows at a slower rate, and the mortgage is there, and the homeowner's equity is growing each time as well. So in this case, the average that was used for this was 7 years, so that covers 14 households over that 99-year period. So this is the VSCLT model. We are not a developer. So we come in in this illustration, the end of the process. So we work with partners up front. Typically, when each local partnership has at least two, sometimes those are the same entity. So if using my Habitat for Humanity example, a habitat can be both a developer and a mission partner. In places where there isn't a habitat, which is a lot of places, we typically like to find another mission partner. A county is an example of a mission partner. Another nonprofit that might be serving, doing homebuyer education, that kind of thing, or another housing nonprofit. And then a developer partner. Those can be for-profits. There's models, and there's the conversation. We had 2 hours of conversation today around all these different models, but all kinds of developers. Sometimes it can be a couple of units in a project. Sometimes it's an entire project or an entire development. So that development gets done, and on closing day, that one parcel with a home on it is separated into two, and the land parcel is typically donated to us, and the improvements parcel is sold to the home buyer. And that's at that point we enter into that ground lease, and it becomes that permanently affordable home. So this is the sort of practical part, just to anticipate what kind of questions that people have. So I've mentioned roles and responsibilities is usually the deepest level of conversation that it gets into, because we need to figure out who's going to do what in this partnership. We do a lot of it. We manage all the stuff related to legal documents, managing all of that over time, but we really want to tie what we do into the local environment. And so we don't want to make decisions that you guys would want to make if you choose to make this a model that you take on. So we would work with you on choosing the answers to some of these things. So what income levels are we interested in serving? Is it going to be median income? Is it going to be below median income, maybe 80% of AMI? Or is it going to be up to 120% of AMI? How are we going to target the initial sales price? Is there going to be a down payment assistance program to help people make it even more affordable? And then the core of our program is that resale price. And we have a menu of 4 formulas. The fixed rate formula, for example, allowing the home to grow at 2% every year. Another example is the area median income formula. So that will allow the home price to change by the amount that the median income changes, so that it's always keeping pace with what's happening to wages in the area. And then the other is based on the market, so it's a percentage of the appraisal. So we have discussions locally, we answer all of these questions, we come to an agreement, and we're ready to create affordable homes. Sometimes it can take a long time, but sometimes it can go really fast, and faster than expected. So we have 4 homes going on the market in Henry County, based on a partnership that we only started talking to in January of this year. So it can happen.
Very good.
And that's it. And I think that's my contact info.
Board
And this
members?
is some of our homeowners, by the way. All of these are real pictures of our homeowners.
Questions, thoughts?
I, again, appreciate your whole day, Michelle, and your expertise and you coming and spending time with us. Also appreciate, Don, all the staff that were able to come this morning and learn from Michelle. Bill and Amy and Christy all attended. And I appreciate my planning commissioner, Mr. Smith, who also attended. So I think, as we get into our strategic plan and move forward to make priority action item number 3 a reality and happen, I think we could have many more great discussions with Michelle and her organization. I think they could really help us with workforce and affordable housing in Isle of Wight County, because it is a big need, and we've been talking about, I know since I've been on the board, and actually much prior to that, I've been talking about making things happen in that regard, and so I think we're serious about it and ready to put the work in. I've said many times we're not scared of hard or complex. Some of these things aren't just like ABC, right? Sometimes you got to kind of go around the bend to get where you need to go. But they're creative. That's part of what I like about the Land Trust. I first heard about the Land Trust and the work that Michelle and the organization was doing at VACO, not this past one, but in 2024. So, definitely you saw on the map that other localities in the state and groups are taking advantage of this as a vehicle to make things affordable for their citizens. I understand that there's a state regulation that does allow you to kind of lock down who is chosen to, buy these homes, so that, you can have people that already live and work in the community, so that we're not providing affordable and workforce housing for people that live and work, in Richmond or Williamsburg or something like that. So these are Isle of Wight County employees, our firefighters and EMS folks, our teachers, public servants, et cetera. So I think, it's going to be a good time, and you'll hear from us, I'm sure, more and more. I'd be interested to see if anybody has any feedback for Michelle or comments or questions.
Members?
Just had some general questions and don't know if they can be answered this evening. Since you've all been doing it for almost 20 years, since '07, you had said, if I remember correctly, right?
That's another organization that started in '08.
Okay, well, they have done it some time. So the real estate tax, we've had a lot of talk on some other unfunded mandates, not this, obviously. We're a bedroom community for the most part. So when you have different things that affect revenues, if you will, from tax rates.
Mm-hmm.
So is it safe to assume that what would happen with taxes on this, the property would not be taxed, but the home would be? Is that how that works for real estate?
So there is a state law that says that the properties, both the home and the land, need to be taxed at their affordable values. So it's basically just taking a fair approach to it and saying, well, if this homeowner can only sell the home for a certain amount, then then the assessment should be adjusted to be equivalent to that amount. The land oftentimes does get zeroed out as a part of that. Sometimes they put $5,000 in, because we get paid, we didn't mention this, we get paid $100 a year. That's our ground lease fee. So the value of a property that gets $100 a year, not so great. So yes, that does reduce the amount of taxes going to the community, but it's commensurate with the value that is then retained by that home, essentially, and the price that they're able to pay.
Yeah, and that kind of leads me to my next question. Don't know if you're able to answer, but when we do reassessments in any locality, we do it every 4 years. Often, if the market's like it's been low recently, you usually get some revenue from a reassessment. Most people call it a tax increase. But what we've found, what we've learned, or I've learned, is that you look at a community and what houses are selling for to determine the value of a similar home. So if this home is a 1,500 square foot home and mine's a 1,500 square foot, because it's going to be made affordable, does that help me out for bringing my rate down on my house, my assessment?
So these homes are not supposed to be used as comparables for market sales. They don't have land. Right. It's technically a different product. The industry is working on making sure that that's how it works. But it is not designed to purposefully try to bring down the rest of the prices in the
Some of our
area.
systems would like to have that so they don't have the increase.
Yeah, I know, it's like one over the other, like, but no, it's not designed to be that way. They're not supposed to be used as comparables because they're not open market sales. One of so a lot of times, you know, it depends on how the public records show up in the real estate databases, but they should be showing up as non-market sales.
I think you touched on the other part, but, so if you have you said a retiree. So you have a retiree that's moved into the home and unfortunately passes away, and there's no heirs to the property. Does it go up for auction? How does that handled?
So we offer complimentary life planning services at the time that they buy the home. So we strongly encourage everyone to have a will. If they had heirs, the home could be handed down to heirs, and the lease could be basically assumed by the heirs. If the heir is an income qualifying heir, that person or household could actually get their own brand new 99-year lease, so they could start fresh. If they're non-income qualifying, then the heir gets to, you know, the rest of the 99 years that the first owner didn't have, so it can go from there. The question of whether somebody doesn't have heirs is a great question that I will have to ask my lawyer. But the legal documents probably address it. I don't know that we've had that circumstance quite yet. But
Because, I think the idea here is, because Ms. Roundtree's advocated and talked about this quite a bit, is that the community has some skin in the game, if you will. And so the citizens probably want to know, you know, if it came up for sale, who's eligible or who gets the equity out of the home. And, yeah, I'd just be curious what happens if there's not an heir.
That's a great question.
That would be a rare occurrence. But there's almost always an heir. It may be far removed, but there's.
Well, then I guess
Yeah.
my citizens would say,
Siblings
Or aunts and uncles
Yeah,
or.
yeah.
well, you end up with
second
a person that makes good money, and then they turn around and make good money off of somebody else next door that's, you know, sold their new vehicles and all that to buy their house. So that's the only reason why I asked the question. Thank you.
Riddle? David? I'm really glad to see this presentation tonight. You know, we have struggled for years in terms of affordable housing, and we think about new teachers coming in, new EMS, and a lot of folks with startup homes, and it's appraisals and land has just jumped through the roof in many ways. What has been the response by the developers in our area to your program? And is there anything that we can help in that process? Anything we can do?
So I actually had already had some conversations with some of the local developers before Renee even contacted me. I think they might have been separately, instigated. So the developers are very interested in the topic. Most of the developers that I'm familiar with want to help the communities that they're in. Sometimes there can be something in it for them, right? So if there's a zoning situation where they can get a some bonus density or something, or a different approval, they can proffer some affordable homes, things like that. So that's done very, very often. I have in another county, I have a developer who tracked us down and is actively seeking to donate 9 acres of land to us and build a 66 unit condo community that he wants to be community land trust because he's seen and he's been a part of the increase in the real estate values and he's ready to give back. So the answer is almost always positive.
Very good.
Yeah, and it's very flexible. I guess the local, if there are requirements, those kind of things are dealt with by the same local rules that would apply to anything. The CLT is something that allows them to have kind of a private business partner to work with. We're not a public agency. We, in many ways, work just like them. Many organizations like ours do development on their own. We figured getting started at a statewide level, that would be hard to do, so we're starting off with the partnership model. But you know, Maggie Walker, CLT in Richmond, is doing some of their own development and some developer partnerships. It's a very popular approach.
Very good. And just for the benefit of our citizens who are listening in right now, and Don can help with this, but how can you be reached? And do we have, what do we have on the website in regards to this? And
Or email address.
yep.
Got my email address right there.
All
You can go
tonight.
to our website. We've got a lot of material on our website, and there's, if you forget my email address, there's a contact form on there. I have Grounded Solutions up there as a very helpful national organization that we're members of. That is basically, it's a membership organization, and it basically they serve as a backstop to almost all the CLTs in the country with technical assistance, some funding. They got a big grant from one of the was it Gates, or you know, one of the ones where they just started handing out money. So we are very lucky to have the support of a national organization as well.
Okay.
So.
Any other
Chairman,
thoughts?
if I could,
Yes,
just
sir.
a really quick question. Michelle, one of the things, and if you covered this, I apologize. Obviously, when the board or any of our citizens talk about affordable housing, they're really looking at the citizens of Isle of Wight County having those opportunities. So if a developer comes in as a part of this project, and let's arbitrarily say there are 25 homes that are available for purchase under this program, is there a screening process for the potential homeowners to somehow, I don't know that you could ensure, but to make sure that those
Prioritize.
local residents, teachers, firefighters, police officers, whomever, get a fair opportunity to acquire those?
Yes, so I will, before I fully answer, I'll just point out that one of the most important things on that is complying with fair housing law. So you probably hear people talk about that a lot. So within the confines of fair housing law, the most common way to handle that is to create a priority points system. So that if you do have, if there really is like a waiting list, if there's a list of people and more than one wants to be in this home that's available, a points-based system can be one way where you can say, you know, live, work, you know, and that would be something that we would design locally. Other ways, before you even get to that point, affirmative marketing is an incredible opportunity. So, you know, you put a flyer in all the teachers' mailboxes, so there's that kind of thing. And then the other thing is, we didn't talk about this today, but local governments, any governments can do a form of employer-assisted housing. So, you know, for example, for employees who have been in place in their, working for the county for at least 5 years, you could provide a small down payment assistance loan or grant. And the longer you've worked for the county, you can design those things, but employer-assisted housing programs are very popular and helpful for retaining employees and attracting employees.
That's good to know.
So,
I love that. Thank you again so much. We'll be in touch.
thank you.
Michelle, very much. Next,
Forgive
we
me
have,
if I leave and not listen to the rest of your.
we have the VEOCI.
Mr. Chairman, I'm going to ask Mr. Will Drury if he would come up and provide an overview of VOC.
Good evening, board members. I'm, like Don said, I'm Will Drury. I'm the emergency manager for the county for Mr. Garner. I know most of you I've presented in front of before. So I work in fire and rescue. Chief Winley, I work for him. So VOC is an incident management tool that we use. You all asked for an update about how we use it during your strategic planning retreat, so I'm here to provide that tonight. It's a cloud-based emergency management and incident management platform. For us, it replaces paper forms, spreadsheets, chain emails, and it allows all of that information that we use or that we have available to us during a disaster or a large-scale emergency available in one single shared platform. Before we went live with this system in the spring of 2022, all of this information was kept in different places, and a lot of it was written down by hand, especially over in the EOC, which is not efficient, especially when something has really impacted the county and is going to go on for days, weeks, or even months. And even when we're down into the recovery piece of a disaster and getting reimbursed from FEMA or from the state, it's hard to compile that information when it's captured in a couple of different places, and VOC allows us to capture it all in one spot. When a situation is actually happening, it allows for us to have that real-time situational awareness. It allows for us to create workflows that go through different departments that are involved in the response, and then again creates that record keeping for us about what actually happened during the incident. So why do we choose it? Like I've said, it creates a faster flow of information across all of the county departments. Obviously, we open the EOC when something major happens, but for departments that may or may not have somebody who can physically be in the EOC immediately or all the time because we understand everybody's busy, this creates a platform where they can see what's happening in the EOC in real time and have all the information available to them at their fingertips, either on a mobile device or on their desktop, just like somebody who's sitting in the EOC would have. It creates an opportunity for better documentation. Every task that is completed during a disaster or during an incident is logged. Every resource request is logged. Our damage assessment process is logged completely and automatically. And like I said, we can deploy it across all county departments. I've said that it creates an opportunity for us to be able to do reimbursements a lot easier through the federal government or through the state. It really creates a clean audit trail for when somebody comes back and wants to know what happened during an event. Prior to VOC, I'll just use the COVID example. So prior to us having this software, all of our documentation about what happened in the county during COVID was kept on a spreadsheet or in Munis, our financial management system. And luckily, our budget and finance department is very, very good at what they do. And they make my job really easy because I'm the one that's got to file for the reimbursement. And we know exactly what the expenses were and what they were used for. But that's not always the case, right? You have people during a disaster who are going out and buying food, or they're going out and buying water, or something we need right then. We have the ability to track that inside of this software, and then when we close the event, it creates a file folder for it. It's a complete log of what's happened. And then it gives us a standard across the departments that sit in the EOC for how we manage emergency incidents, but also planned events, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. So how do we use it today? Like I've said, we use it for emergency events. We create situation reports inside of it. We manage resource requests. We can complete damage assessments inside of it. And then we can offer that multi-agency coordination that's so essential when a disaster happens or a major event happens inside of one platform. We use it for planned events like the county fair. And then we also use it for some daily operations, especially in fire and EMS. We use it for our onboarding process. We've created a QA tool for quality assurance for a couple of our EMS procedures inside of it. And really the beauty of VOC is that when you use it daily, you become more familiar with how it's used. So when you need to use it during an emergency, it's something that you're using every day and you're able to pick it up and just keep moving with it. We deployed this software in spring of 22, March 25th, 2022 to be exact. On March 26th, we had a severe weather event that impacted most of the county. We had damage to structures in Carswell, Walters, Colossi, some up in Carrollton, out towards the Longview area. One of the really, really great tools inside of VOC is that we have the ability to push out a link, if you will, to the public or to responders that may or may not have a VOC account at all. And they can send us information back into the EOC. What used to happen before we had this tool is that myself or somebody from Amy's staff, especially on the damage assessment side of things, we would have to go out and physically do this one by one. And we were prioritizing it based on anecdotal information that we had heard either over the radio from first responders or from the 911 center or from another means. When we're getting that information back in real time, we can triage those damages ourselves go out and do it based on what's the most severe, most critical right then in that moment. It also allows that if we choose to do this, the citizens can report the damage themselves. We can push the link out through IW Alert, which is another system that we use over in the EOC, and then people can report back to us what they're seeing in real time into the EOC. We've created, in partnership with the Planning District Commission's All Hazards Advisory Committee, a regional common operating picture inside of EOC that we host in Isle of Wight. During a tabletop exercise several years ago, or probably a little over a year ago, it was realized that the emergency managers in the region don't have a common way that we can communicate with each other. We're communicating by text message or phone call or email, and again, it's very cumbersome when something is impacting the entire region. Now we have a platform where we can all go. There's a chat room. We can all talk to each other. I'll give you an example. This past week when we had both of the snow events, we could see in real time what other localities were doing as far as closings or openings or delays without having to go back and forth. What are you doing? What are you doing? It's all in one spot and we can see it very easily. I've talked about the severe weather event. And then during the big snowstorm we had back earlier in the year, we used it to kind of get a good grasp of what was going on in the county and what we needed to do as far as county operations went. These are some screenshots, and I know they're a little hard to see, but I'll take you through what they are. The top left is that Hampton Roads common operating picture that I talked about. You'll see in the top left of that screenshot, the localities have major events that they have going on in the locality listed for situational awareness. That's in the bottom, that's the EEI reporting, or essential elements of information reporting from each locality. And then at the top right, you can see the chat room that exists there. We've also built a resource request workflow in here so that if we needed to request, say, Suffolk's Mobile Command Unit or Virginia Beach's MCI bus, we could do that through VOC and it would route it to the correct person in that locality. The bottom right is the dashboard for events at Surrey Nuclear Power Station. This is really the reason that we purchased the software and we decided to go with it. Because it gives us that flexibility and that ability to be nimble when something at the power station occurs. Dominion actually funded the original investment in VOC for us. So, and then top left is our daily operations screenshot. So it's got information that's imported from IW Alert. It shows what the county offices are doing, the county schools. And then in the bottom right is the dashboard that we're using for events at the fairgrounds, like the fair and the Spring Fest that they used to have there. And I'll talk about collaboration in a minute here, but I want to put a pin in it. I'll mention here that the dashboard that you see for the fair is actually a dashboard that came from the Oklahoma State Office of Emergency Management that they use for the Oklahoma State Fair. And that's really the beauty of VOC. So we're able to collaborate across VOC users and provide them with solutions that we've developed and also get solutions back from them that they've developed and used. Other softwares like this, the solutions that are created inside of them are proprietary, and I'll give you an example of that. Several years ago, a locality close to us had an event where they needed to accept donations and manage volunteers. The incident management software that they use in that locality has the capability to do that, but that comes with a price. For us, VOC, we can build the solutions internal. Renee Stallings, who works in our office, and I spent a week up in New Haven, Connecticut, learning how this software works, learning how to build the solutions so that when something happens or when something comes in on the fly, we can create something really quick. And it may or may not work the first time, but we've also got that greater network of folks that are also VOC users that we can reach out to. We work with Hanover County to get their instance of VOC online. They're in a similar situation to us, being close to a nuclear power station. Surrey County will be coming online with it shortly. York County is hoping to come online with it shortly. Iredell County in North Carolina has come online with our help. And then I also did a webinar series for VOC that was available nationwide to all of their clients. And we presented to them on our grant management solution, our EOC management solution, and then our onboarding processes for fire and rescue and our quality assurance. So what are we going to do with it in the future? We've got some opportunity to create a shelter and registration and management system inside of VOC. That's something that currently does not exist anywhere in the state. When you show up to a disaster shelter right now, somebody from social services or the health department or the emergency management office is filling out a paper form, and that paper form has to try being the operative word here, to follow you the entire time that you're in the shelter. It's very cumbersome, and from a situational awareness standpoint, it doesn't give somebody like me who's sitting in the EOC a really good picture of what's happening in the shelter. So we have the ability to build these solutions in-house, and we're working with the Health Department, Social Services, and the Red Cross to build this tool for us and then hopefully push it out to everybody else. We're going to work inside of VOC to build more plans inside of the county's emergency operations plan. We have a very, very, very robust plan inside of VOC for response to the power station. The plan launches tasks. The plan creates notifications. It makes the work that happens in the EOC very seamless. So we'll be rolling that out into other hazards, severe weather, maybe some hazardous material type stuff. The list can go on and on for this. We're going to continue to work with the Hampton Roads region to roll VOC out as much as we can, whether they purchase their own instance of it or continue to hop on ours and use it for the common operating picture. And then Chief Winley and I talked last month about the Bowling Green Road fire, brush fire. And one of the things that came out of that was that we don't have an online incident command platform. We do really good with accountability tags and being able to move tags around the board. But when it's something larger like that, we don't have a platform to be able to do that. Like I've said, we have the ability to create a solution, and we may be able to do that inside of VOC, and that's something that we're exploring. And with that, I'll take questions.
Does the regional EOC use VOC in Chesapeake?
No.
What do they use?
They use another product by another company, Web EOC.
Okay.
What's the market share between the two?
I'd say that Web EOC probably has had the market for a while, but I think the tide is turning.
Okay. Members?
Well, I think it's a good program you got here, and I think it only enhanced the operation for your job and actually better communication throughout state and federal, and give you the ability to recap funding that the county actually expended in a more timely manner. So just keep on doing what you're doing and make the program work for us.
Yes, sir.
At the moment.
So Chairman, I would note, Will does a phenomenal job at this, and is probably unintentionally become the VOC salesperson in the Commonwealth of Virginia. I go to meetings and hear from folks all over the region, sometimes around the state, and they're talking about our use of VOC. And that's a good feeling to know that we've got people who are leading the Commonwealth, and in some instances leading the nation with this. We take it for granted when we're in the EOC and we're doing this stuff, but not everybody's doing this stuff. And so Will's been a leader, has promoted it, and has perfected it as it relates to what we do. But it's really impressive to see it at work. Our VOPEX exercises, evaluators come from all over the country, and they're kind of in amazement at how seamlessly our process works. And VOC is a key component of that, but it's because of folks like Will who are leading the charge. So.
Well, you guys are doing a great job, and really appreciate staying on top of it, really ahead of other communities and what you're doing. Rudolph mentioned communication. The whole time I'm thinking about communication and what goes down when communication goes down, and where's the redundancy and all those kind of things, and you're bringing things together that, with the mobile units and everything else that, in the past we didn't have, and lessons learned, and you guys have really moved ahead on it, so really appreciate everything that you're doing.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have
Thanks,
the
Will.
county attorney's report up next, I believe.
Passing these around. Mr. Chairman, as we approach your organizational meeting, we annually adopt your bylaws. In going through the only change that made, and it's in your packet, is that I have added language that provides that, and it mirrors what we have been doing, which is when a appointment that is designated by by district. Our planning commission, each of you appoints 2 members from that district, and that just solidifies that that board member has the privilege of making that nomination for their district. But it is now added language, and this is subject to discussion, but that if that appointment goes unfilled for 60 days after its expiration because that member is unable to find a member, that it opens that up to any other board member to make a recommendation regardless of district. And then that would be, just like all appointments, discussed and determined if that's what this board feels is appropriate for that particular member. And again, I pick 60 days out of the air, just as that would be 2 months after it expired. And if it, again, just because it says that, this board can decide on any individual appointment how they wish to behave. The other item that was added was, because this has come up, I'm a board appointee. I'm in District 3, and because of redistricting or something else, I now no longer live in District 3. I'm in District 4. That I continue to serve in my appointed position, and as long as this board wants to reappoint me, I can continue in that position. If I voluntarily move from my district, I decide I'm going to move from District 3 and I'm going to move into the town of Smithfield, or the Smithfield district, I vacate my seat. Again, that's, so that solidifies what this has been done by practice, but puts it in so that somebody that comes in, Mr. Garner, doesn't understand why somebody that doesn't live in his district is been appointed to a position in his district. So it solidifies what's going on. And then there's nothing in your agenda address this issue, but Ms. Roundtree brought up that section 7.5 in there sets out the standing committees of this board. And there are a number of appointments that you make at your organizational meeting to boards that I have passed around that are not included in the bylaws. What brought it to Ms. Roundtree's attention was the fact that we have recently created the audit committee. Mm-hmm. Should that be included in the bylaws? Should any of these others? One that stands out to me would be the Social Services Board. That is a different animal compared to most of these, because you're required to have that by law, and we have other reasons. But they certainly can provide an annual report to this board, whether they're on the standing committees or not. The other was the Commission on Adults with Disabilities. That has been in existence for some time now. Is that a standing committee? So again, whichever one of these you believe needs to be included, or if there's one in the bylaws now that you say we don't need that to be here anymore. I don't know that that's the case. I mean, I know we've had some where we've actually taken official action to say this task force has served its role. Thank you very much, and we don't expect anything more from you. So this is just something for board's consideration at your January organizational meeting as to what's your pleasure to do that.
I'm going to ask a question because I don't remember seeing it. Any of the commissions, committees, or task force or anybody like that, any of those receive compensation for their meetings?
Planning, I believe Planning Commission was the side-in.
Are we able to, if you don't have that, can we get that identified?
Certainly.
And I think that it probably would be more lockstep with commissions than it is committees, et cetera. Would you say that's a fair statement?
It might be. I think over the years, I don't know if there was any specific defining.
There might be an opportunity to define it.
Yeah.
And in the future, maybe as boards go along, we've used different terms, different people, and obviously for the right times, the right purposes. But, if for, say, a commission is something you get compensated for, however, a committee is not, at least your citizens and your elected official knows the expectation, coming kind of out of the door with it.
Yes, maybe you get us, I'm just envisioning a grid, right, with all the committees that are in there and out, and if they get paid and what the
Compensated,
name
not.
is, yeah.
We can do that.
And it might be as far as, I don't know, that compensation, but what is provided. Because there may be some elements when we, for example, the planning commission, do they get computers?
Planning Commission has computers.
So my point is, when there's some cost associated with some commissions, if you're gonna create them, that probably, whether this board or the board in the future needs to just take in consideration.
Yeah, and I think we'd probably be, we would probably want to be very clear on certain things like that. There's a, planning commission very different from some of the other boards and committees.
No
in
doubt,
terms
but it'd be a
of
good
their-
time to have that
Yeah.
conversation so that people understand the expectations.
Yeah, because we have had other boards and committees who want to be treated like the planning commission. We have to explain to them, you're different.
Unless the board decides differently.
Exactly, yeah.
But Deb, we can certainly get that together.
I think it would be helpful and beneficial.
Based on the clause regarding appointments, have you drafted any language that would address the point where I had someone who served on a commission, moved into a different district, wanted to stay on that commission, the whole commission voted that they wanted that person to stay on the commission without having to have that person sit out for 60 days until it could be vacant and I could appoint them for it?
I have not done that.
Yeah, because we had said we were going to do that.
We said we would do, because if somebody moves out and wants to stay on, it would be the person whose district was vacated has first choice, for lack of better terms, to nominate someone new.
We've had that happen where somebody moved into somebody else's district, and I believe that in that case, I think the person's district they moved into, they had an opening and went ahead and appointed them.
But the vacated spot would fall back to the original Board of Supervisors member to take that. I think that if that Board of Supervisor, if that board member said, that person is moved out, I don't intend to appoint anyone, I'll waive my 60-day right to nominate someone, you could then appoint that person. But
So what you've written addresses that?
it says if I'm in District 3, I move to District 1. So I have now vacated my seat. If Mr. Jefferson says, I have somebody to fill that vacated seat, that's not me, that's his privilege, it's his district. If he can't find anybody and it waits 60 days, it falls to this board by this language. But if he said at the next meeting, I don't intend to appoint anyone, I would like that person to continue to serve, if the rest of the board agrees, you could appoint that person.
And I think you have it in, I think you covered it, but I think the idea it would be concurrent sessions. So once I move out of the district and I may I'm good to go for a while, I can't quit and then do it again for the other district. Right? It's concurrent.
But the board, it don't really identify that as what district you live in. It's the panel or the commission you serving on for a certain length of time. You can't serve but so much time, right?
Well, there are term limits to all of these, but I think we're mixing apples and oranges. As far as there's a vacancy because I just said I resign, I don't want to be reappointed. That falls to the supervisor whose district is vacant, just like we do now. If after 60 days he or she has not filled that vacancy, then other board members can make suggestions and then this board can vote however they desire. That's one set. The other segment is you have an active member who voluntarily removes themselves from the district for which they're appointed. And now there's a vacancy. again, if it was Mr. Jefferson's district that is now vacant, it is his privilege to nominate someone to sit in that seat. If he says, I don't intend to do that, I would like the person that just moved away, and this board agrees to put that person back in that seat out of district, they would fulfill the balance of that term. Now, once somebody that has voluntarily moved away, term ends, I think that is a different scenario. I think that may be what you were talking about.
Yeah, that's because I have a planning commissioner that's now, I mean, the line is across the street from him. And he continues to serve, has for the 10 years I've been on this board. I think he and I both have agreed, and we wouldn't do anything different, but if he were to resign tomorrow, because he needs whatever, he would not expect to come back and serve
For your
for
district.
my district.
Correct.
Thank you.
So I will, again, when we come back in January, I will have the language that I've highlighted in there will be just verified that I haven't, as I often do, have some poor grammatical issue in it, but I will clean it up if it needs it. As far as these other committees, I'll have a chart, and I'll try to get it out to you before the meeting, because we've got some time to gather that together. And then, on the day of the meeting, we can certainly decide, this is what we would like in that section of the bylaws as far as which committees we're gonna call standing committees. And we can have that done and be ready to go, because all of these will be on your agenda for assignment or reassignment. If Mr. Acree doesn't want to be on the Personnel Committee this year, he wants to be on something else, we always do those votes. So we'll be talking about these committees anyway, and then we can just make sure the bylaws match.
I saw that the schedule obviously is there also. Of course, there'll be one additional member at the next meeting. What I've learned, Mr. Jefferson was here before I came along, but we have that as meeting set. At the same time, this board's been very good about working with each other as a group to accommodate things like family events, work, et cetera. So we just need to, Mr. Jones, you can probably speak to the time that we have to make a decision as a board if we're going to change a meeting. But we've done that in the past. Say somebody has a family reunion, it falls on we've tried to make sure we work with each other.
So, again, we'll get to that, but the reason it's today is just so everybody can look at their calendar, because we will adopt our formal meeting schedule on the 5th.
Right.
If something comes up during the course of the year that, for whatever reason, there needs to be a change of our work session in March. As long as we know that ahead of time, that we can discuss that at a meeting preceding that, we can make that motion and the meeting is moved. If it is a last minute thing for whatever reason, it's very difficult to move a meeting. It requires public hearing, and we probably may not have enough time. So what can be done is that meeting be canceled, and someone can call a special meeting, which requires a different type of notice. But with a special meeting, you would not cancel your March regular meeting and then schedule a special meeting where everything on the agenda mirrors it. It would be, you would handle the items that are time sensitive at a special meeting and then go on. But as far as, we'll use July, the holidays, that something comes up that everybody agrees that it's a bad day, we'll move it. As long as you know that in May or June, that's all that it takes.
I have a exception to that 60-day appointment period. When I was campaigning, I was actively looking for members to appoint for both zoning and planning. I have high expectations for some of the folks I would like to appoint. and I was lucky to find Tom and him willing to come back to the planning commission. He's invaluable. 60 days to vet and find a qualified individual is really not enough time. I would say no less than 90 or 120. I think 120 may be stretching it, but if you want to find qualified individuals, you really gotta, you just can't just appoint somebody just because there's a hole in the ground.
I just needed to put a time in there to get the
Okay.
5 of you to discuss it, to discuss what you believe to be the appropriate time.
But that's part of the problem, where you got commissions right now that's saying, I don't have enough people to really operate and perform like we need to perform. So if we extend that time, you might be talking 6 months before you get somebody in place. Then they got to get trained. So half of the year plus is gone before they become an active member in the, on the commission.
Well, I think that this, whether it's 60 days, 90 days, 120 days, if you look at our active appointment list now, that time has already run. I'm not suggesting that we start the timer today or
Right.
on January 5th. If it's been, again, if it's 60 days, I mean, again, all of y'all have attempted to fill your vacancies in a timely fashion, and I know that there's been discussion that even other board members have said, I haven't been able to find anybody when I talk to people in your district that wanted to do it. Again, I am not wed to the 60 days. I just put a date in there for y'all to discuss, and whatever y'all believe to be appropriate, I will make the change.
And we know in advance when people, date is gonna expire, so, I mean,
And again, that's.
we don't have to wait for the expiration act to take place.
If, quite honestly, I don't know what the practice is other than when I see it, but I don't know if the board members would like to know 3 months in advance before there's gonna be a vacancy, we can change the appointment list to have, it's by district now, so you could say, but that's.
Yeah, perhaps by, you guys can just let Bobby know you prefer a 60 or prefer a 90, so he's better prepared when you come together for that meeting, to make the decision there. That would be the easiest way. It gives you a little bit of time to think about it and come prepared to do that.
I do remember with previous clerks, it kind of looked ahead.
I don't know how far we're looking ahead, but we can certainly.
Because it used to have like a month, right, that someone would expire, so if I need, like, right now, I looked at the list tonight, I don't have any that are due right now, but it would be nice to know, to Chairman Rosie's point, like, do I have somebody that is due in February or March, so I can be thinking about it and starting to work on it, because right now I only have visibility to ones that are currently open.
So if you, direct your clerk to however far advanced you want her to create the list.
That can be one of the topics you discuss.
60 days in advance of expiration.
Want to do that at
2 months.
the organizational meeting?
2 months in advance of expiration.
Don't we?
Yeah, we kind of do that now,
Yeah,
but
so.
you all tell us if you want something different, because what we typically do is try to look, if we're coming up in the January agenda, we're looking at least out through the end of February to see whose appointment runs out. And we try to put those in your agenda or on your sheet for consideration, to give you a little bit of time to vet people or consider who's already in that slot.
Well, the sheet, my point is, the sheet used to say what month they actually expired the position, like,
I think it still does, but maybe not.
You got the form from today?
Yeah, we left them all in the room, but
I have one.
No, it's right here.
does it say what month?
Yes.
June of 25, July of 25.
And we're in a time frame where throughout the county, emergency services, every department, volunteerism is off from what it used to be. It used to be there'd be lots of people looking for those opportunities. And so that's something that's a factor too. So any time frame that we can push things ahead or be notified ahead will help. Okay. leave that, the rest of this discussion to the organizational meeting.
Unless there's something else that you'd like me to edit, I'll be happy to. But, and if something comes up that you realize, send me an email, call me on the phone.
Anything else, Bob?
No, sir.
Okay, so that would move us to public hearings, but we have none tonight.
Correct.
So we then move to the county administrator's report. Brief report, did you say?
Very brief. I'm going to try to get you back on track, so that means I got 4 minutes. So the first item, you briefly hit on it. We put this in here just for your consideration and to look ahead, to look at your calendars for next year. It's your 2026 meeting schedule. We attempted to pretty much mirror what you did this year in terms of how you laid your schedule out, including budget meetings. In July, there's one meeting. We did not double up and put your work session and your regular meeting on the same day. It's just a regular meeting. Same in December. So if you want to go back and change any of that, let us know. We can revise the calendar. I did highlight a couple of things just to note. One is that on February 5th, that first Thursday in February, which would be your work session, that is the same day as what used to be Legislative Day, now it's Government Day at VACO. So typically, some or all of us take a trip up to Richmond to go and to meet with legislators and do some other things. That doesn't preclude us from hustling back and getting back for a 6 o'clock meeting. But I put that on there as a note just to say if you want to change that date, let us know. So again, take some time, look at your personal calendars. If you know you got a family reunion or something coming up, or you're on vacation on a certain date, let us know. We can try to make those adjustments early rather than later.
I think it's a good idea for us to go ahead and change that date now because it's too much on
Yeah, you
you
can't.
to try to spend most of your day in Richmond and try to come back here for a meeting at 6 o'clock.
Yeah, and again, if you want to cancel that work session, or if you want to say, well, let's meet on that second Thursday or whatever, just let us know. We can make that revision.
We have plenty of meetings in the spring to make up
Oh,
for
yeah.
it with the budget. I was wondering about June 4th. Why, in June, why are there 3 regular meetings in a row? Should the June 4th meeting be a work session?
Oh, yeah, that was a typo, yeah. That for June 4th is a work session.
So the time would need to change and make that a work session?
Correct, that should be 6.
Okay.
And we'll clean all this up before your organizational meeting, which I will note, just for the sake of the public, is on Monday, January 5th.
In the evening, not during the day.
Because the first Thursday is January 1st, and so didn't think anybody wanted to come out on the holiday. But that first meeting, just so everybody notes, is very different. It's a Monday evening, January 5th at 6.
And the Commission on Adults with Disabilities got bumped again.
Yeah, we got to get them off of that Monday. That's perpetually going to be an
I
issue.
guess audit committee will need to move too then.
Correct. I think maybe it was Dale. I talked to somebody and we were like, the second Monday probably makes sense, but we'll take a look at that.
Okay.
All right, if
Other
there are no
matters?
questions, no comments on that. The next item is more for your information, but it's in response to a request that was in I just got a note. The BZA meets on January 5th. I think y'all gonna have to find a different place though, because the board had set this meeting a year ago. The community rating system item.
I just sent the ad for the BZA meeting to the paper today,
Okay,
or yesterday.
all right, we'll figure that out. We'll make it work. Because you all had requested some information. I think at the last meeting, I told you, I thought this had to do with ISO and some other stuff. Actually, it's not. This is not related to the fire rescue insurance program. this is different. It has more to do with floodplain management and some other things. And so what I've provided in your agenda is just some background information from the handbook and a little bit of information about the requirements or prerequisites for that program. So if you have any questions, let us know. We can certainly try to get some information on that. But that was really just kind of providing some information responsive to what you all had previously requested.
Did that have something to do with the postcards that came out last week?
So if you recall at your last meeting, you all adopted the floodplain management changes. And so those were sent out, I think, just to affected properties.
The properties that may be affected
Yeah.
by the new map changes.
I just want to make sure the two were linked. I thought they were, but.
And lastly, under County Administrator's report, your long-awaited financial reports are in the agenda document for your review. Also, I want to make sure that, let me pull this up because we went back and pulled reports for July, August, September, and October, and then your cash accountability report for October. So if you have any questions about those, let us know.
I do. I looked and compared. I mean, the tax billings and collections report, I think the numbers are going in the right direction, right? So we're continuing to collect more money, and the percent collected versus uncollected doesn't look materially different from previous years, you know, as things age, right? As the balance ages and then it gets older and older, it looks like those efforts are still going well. And look, this time of year is going to be a much different scenario than July, when we got the information from April, which is the last time we saw it. So I really appreciate the updated reports, and I hope that we continue now to get these on a monthly basis.
You will.
Thank you. I will say that I received a voicemail from a citizen who lives in District 1 and the town of Smithfield, and I realized that the treasurer departments are very different between the town and the county, and they run things very differently, but they were fairly upset / bothered by the fact that a check that they wrote in November for their real estate tax at the county level still had not been cashed. So when he wrote a check to the town, it's in the bank the next day. And so the voicemail I got said, oh, how much money is the county losing in interest on, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars that are sitting there, because when he called 2 days ago, they were still processing checks or envelopes that had come in November 17th. So very far behind. And that's concerning to me for many reasons. One of them being that, the treasurer previous to Ms. Sly had a Dropbox scenario, right? So that payments and checks would go to the Dropbox, they were adjudicated, and the money was placed in the account electronically. And so there wasn't this backlog, right? I got the sense that checks were cashed in a more timely manner. Again, I think we should look at that. How much is it costing us to not have a Dropbox that's going to Baltimore, which I think was the problem that the current treasurer had with it, versus waiting a month to realize cash that's just sitting in envelopes and in checks that were written a month ago. If that does that make sense to you guys? It's bothersome to me. I can't find in the county cash balance because the numbers are so different, partially because time of year from the last time we got a report to this time. I also haven't gone back and compared it historically to when we had a different treasurer. So I can't really prove that it's costing us good gobs of money just because checks are sitting there and have not been cashed. It's a suspicion that I have. Again, can't really prove it yet. Just got this report like today, I think it was loaded, so, looking forward to getting that on a monthly basis, so that we have a little more time to review it, but again, thank you for the report. And after I give you a chance to react to everything I've just said, I do have a couple questions about the cash balance report.
So I have one question. If they give them the checks late, are the citizens being penalized because you're getting the check after the due date,
No, they're postmarked when they come in,
postmarked?
but they
Okay.
just are not entering them in the system, opening the envelopes and or entering them in the system, i.e. cashing them and putting them in the bank so that we begin to make interest on it until they get to it.
Right.
So there's lots of dollars that are sitting in a tray somewhere in envelopes that have been postmarked but have not been opened.
But they're not undermanned, right?
They're what?
They're not undermanned, personnel-wise. They got enough people to operate.
They're not
function.
undermanned.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was having trouble. She may have one, I mean, this treasurer could speak to it. I don't think she doesn't have like roles of people that she needs to hire for. It's just, it's a lot of work, right? Money comes in pretty much in a big bolus twice a year, right? Money comes in June 5th and December 5th. But you know that. And when do people like to take vacation? Thanksgiving, Christmas, right? So 4th of July, all the times that the money comes in. So, some of the reasons I suspect that the previous treasurer had a Dropbox scenario, right? Where other people got paid to enter our money and we got it in the bank more quickly. I mean, look, our treasurer is elected and she can do what she wants, right? But as a supervisor, I'm sitting here thinking, well, how much is that decision costing us and adversely affecting our cash balance and bottom line because checks are sitting in a tray and it's not deposited and then therefore we can't make interest on the amount. Is that just me?
No, I had the same call. Someone was concerned about their check not being cashed for 2 weeks.
I paid my town of Smithfield property taxes. They were due the 5th, paid them the 4th, walked in, brought a check clear the next day.
Okay?
So, don't know what to really suggest. I know never bring a problem without a solution, right? And certainly we'll take it up to the audit committee because that's partially what that group is meant to do as charged by you all. But, maybe in the January regular meeting or February or something, it's time for the treasurer to come and speak to us as a board about practices and things that we hear from our citizens that affect the money that she collects for us.
It sounds like the question has a lot to do with how it's processed and, as an audit committee, make your recommendation to the board once you meet and come back with recommendations.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will do. So with regard to the cash balance report, I know I asked a year ago why we're still banking with Bank of America when they don't have a branch in the county. Not that it's your job to answer me. It's kind of rhetorical, but I guess I'll take that up with the treasurer as well because I feel pretty strongly that our money should be with a bank who sees fit to do business in the county where the money's coming from. So don't know if anybody agrees with that, but I guess I'll continue to ask that question and not get an answer. I also wonder if county interest income, how for July, August, September, October, November, that number can exactly be the same. Because the amount of money that's in the bank changes. So I don't know how the interest income can exactly be the same for 5 months running.
Which months were those?
All of them that are on the cash balances report. It has a typo in the word balances up top, by the way. But county interest income right in the middle, $241,430.57 for July, August, September, October, November. If that's actual interest calculated on money in the bank as reflected on the rows above, I don't know how that number could be the same for interest income if the total amount in the account is not the same. But that was what I had. Just in the brief time I had to spend with the document.
Appreciate it. Anything else, Don?
No, sir, not under county administrator's
Okay.
report.
Then we move to unfinished old business, the study. who's speaking to that?
I think there was a request for this item to be added with anticipation that we would have the updated information relative to the schools that would be applied to the county's impact analysis. I know we were expecting that any day now, but.
We have not received
Sorry.
it yet.
I'm looking at Amy because I know we were expecting that, but it had not come in when we set the agenda out, and I don't know that we've gotten it as of today.
When was that requested? I think you brought it up.
Yeah.
So the Julie Hurlins, who works for Tischler Bice, our consultant for the growth rate scenario study, offered to update our growth rate scenario study after the school board had heard and accepted their report to make sure that both numbers were consistent in both studies. So when I asked her after the school board meeting on November the 18th,
Something like that. Just before
13th.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, right before Thanksgiving. She said it would be several weeks, and I have since talked to her, and she said that it was a little more complicated than she had anticipated. It was taking a little longer. She has some additional questions that she wants to resolve before finalizing that, and we do have a conference call tomorrow morning, so hopefully it'll be here shortly.
Okay.
So since we don't have to, I mean, the first meeting in January is an organizational meeting, so I don't expect that we would take up that issue then. But would it be fair to assume that she could present to us in January?
I can ask her availability, sure.
Thank you. I just asked that we place back on the agenda because I think it was on our agenda last time that we didn't get to because we ran out of time.
Right.
And yes, that Ms. Ring is, Director Ring is exactly correct, that we have the same company that both the schools as well as the county has, paid. And I asked Julie when she was here, like, would you consider Isle of Wight a good customer? County a good customer? She said, oh yeah, you're a great customer. I said, well, great. I think we can expect that the numbers match, right? That you used for both studies. It just kind of makes sense and is fair.
Correct.
And she said, yes, that's fair, and that she would tie a ribbon through it for us. But that's what I'm waiting on is the final reports that, I tried to start getting 2 years ago when I started this.
Right, so the school study was started after our study, and so while the school study's been, being prepared, it's been about 6-8 months. So obviously, there's new data available, new numbers available that are in the school study that then need to be updated in our study. So they're both coming out at the same time with the same numbers, so hopefully they'll be here soon.
Fine. Well, it would be great if you guys get to look at that in January.
Thanks, Ed.
Sure.
Okay, strategic plan. If there's no further discussion on that.
Excuse me.
So we met all day October 7th. We covered it at our
November 5th, work session.
November work session. Thank you for helping me remember when that was. And so then the revised draft strategic plan, the file that we have before us, is all encompassing of the changes that we asked you to make
Yes.
November 5th. And are those changes in yellow, highlighted?
Yes.
And it's a red line version. I mean, there's strike through the pieces that were edited out.
We changed the language to reflect the comments that you all made, so yes.
Do you need a clean version to really make?
Well, we'll clean it up once it's adopted, but,
Okay.
because you might make additional changes, but, yeah.
All right, what
This should
discussion
reflect
do we
the
have
comments.
in regards to that, or possible changes?
I don't have any more changes. I would very much like to move forward with the strategic plan. I also feel like it's a living, breathing document, so I don't think just because we say, oh yeah, we're gonna adopt this strategic plan, that it doesn't mean that we can't adopt, make an edit to it. Or I really would like this activity not to have been in vain, right? A strategic plan is not something that, and I know Mr. Robertson isn't gonna let this happen, because the way we've crafted the strategic plan is very action-oriented. On behalf of the board, would like to see you do this by X time and date. I think we've made it very action-oriented. But the worst thing you can do, I think, with a strategic plan is set it and forget it and put it in a drawer somewhere and then never look at it again. So I'd very much like to make a motion that we pass the strategic plan from draft into final version, and then, would ask that if it's passed, that we all get laminated copies in our drawers so that we can be reminded of it. I had heard that another locality had done that and helped keep it, front and center.
Does anyone else have any amendments or changes to what you know about the drafted strategic plan that you want to put in there?
Might say that again.
Any other additions, changes, or amendments to what you know that we've been presented with? We discussed it a couple of times, we've been looking at it for a while. Not a change to it, but there is one thing that I think has been on my mind. I won't be here, but a recommendation. I agree wholeheartedly with what you just said, and, just we look at it and then we forget about it. I think times have changed, and I think our strategic plan probably should be visited quarterly. That's a little bit more aggressive, but in the business world that I work in, when we have plans like this, we are holding each other accountable. And I think things are moving more rapidly today than they ever were. And I say that too because of, there's been a lot of things thrown up on the CIP, on the wall, so to speak, and the range is anywhere from 90 million to 160 million plus, which means putting the county in further debt or raising taxes. So that's all in front of you guys that you're going to be looking at. I think, in one sense, I would like to encourage you to think about in terms of economic resources to be a big part of that priority package too, of really digging in so that we're not limited in the legs that we have where we're getting machine and tool tax, but rather we're looking aggressively at additional economic sources for the county before we get in trouble as a county and before we come to a point where we cannot meet the needs of the county. And so I think that, as I step away, that would be something I think really is emerging as something in the forefront that we need to grapple with, and that is additional economic resources for the county. That's my 2 cents, and I'm sticking to it. So.
I like all the priority areas, and I know that I just made a motion to pass it and we're in discussion period, but Don, it does say I'm seeing under priority area 6, revise and adopt the 10-year CIP by January 15th.
Yes.
So we have an organizational meeting on the 5th. Our regular work session meeting, even if we changed anything on CIP, wouldn't be adopted before the 15th of January.
No, I mean, we can, if you want to adjust that date to the regular meeting in January, because I think the intent was to have a public hearing, will be January 15th.
So that's a lot of pressure, but, okay. Well, it's a goal, right? Like, nobody dies if you don't meet that date, I guess, but that's the goal.
I mean, we were gonna have it, I think we were planning to advertise for public hearing that night, so at the conclusion of the public hearing, you can adopt the amendment.
Perfect. Thank you. So, motion still stands. I appreciate the time.
Okay, would you repeat the motion?
That the Isle of Wight County Board of Supervisors adopt our strategic plan dated October 7th, 2025.
Would that be as amended with the one date or no?
It's date's
It didn't
fine.
change.
Okay. Madam Clerk?
Ms. Roundtree?
Yes.
Mr. Gardner?
Yes.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Avery?
Yes.
Chairman Rosie?
Yes, so moved.
Chairman, the item, I think, unless you had something else, was under new business, was the item
16A.
that we added.
It
with
would be the
regard
Windsor
to-
Fire Department.
Correct. Yes, sir.
So at that time, do we have an individual coming forward to speak to that?
Well, we were provided some information. You might recall there was a truck that had been approved and funded, identified for the Windsor Volunteer Fire Department. Essentially $1 million had been identified as funding for the vehicle. I believe they recently got some numbers back from the manufacturers, and that $1 million price tag is now 1.5 million. And so I think their request to the board is to provide additional funding. My question would be, where's the money coming from? And so we would have to spend some time to identify potential funding sources for that $500,000 deficit, if that is the board's desire to move forward. So we wanted to make sure you were aware of that before we brought any specific recommendations to you.
I see Chief Scott is here. Would it be appropriate for me to ask him some questions?
Would you please come forward? Good to see you, Chief.
To you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your time this evening.
Glad to be here.
So, you would know best, because I know you keep track of this stuff. The last engine that we bought here in the county, what was the cost? Do you know off the top of your head?
I cannot tell you that, Mr. Acree.
Do you know what was, and you said 1 million was what was?
That's what's allotted
approved.
in the CIP. I do know that the other stations in the county who've been buying apparatus here in last couple of years have run into the same issues. I think Carrollton had an issue with their tanker being 225, 250 additional funds. That Smithfield had a truck that was not funded sufficiently. And this all, of course, comes to the fact that when the CIP was established, it was pre-COVID, and since that time, prices, when everything was shut down, the prices have increased, demand has remained constant, and inflation has kicked in. So therefore, everything seems to be higher than what's been allocated. And this truck was funded for last fiscal year, when now we're just getting to the point of getting manufacturers. We had 4 manufacturers we started with. We're down to 2 now. We received a price from one manufacturer, 1.539 roughly. We had another manufacturer that we've been trying to get to meet our spec. We finally met with them again last night, and their number came in today is an updated number of 1,220,000 and some change. So we've got two figures in there. We met with the advisory board last Wednesday, and support was given by the advisory board to support up to 1.5 million with the advisory board support.
So I know that you probably need a meeting. I don't want to put you on the spot, but there's a good chance that y'all would go with the 1.2 million.
That is for the truck itself. There's no funding there for equipment.
Understood.
We feel like if we could allocate 100,000 for equipment, we could do it all within 1.35. That would be our estimation, based on the numbers we received today, receiving that quote to meet our spec and adding equipment to it.
So if I may, because you and I talk, well, not as regularly as I like to, but we talk regularly. There's a couple of things I'd like to point out, and I think you would, please correct me if I'm wrong. The industry is seeing a 4% increase quarterly in cost, or that they're passing on to the customer. 4% quarterly is what they're doing, and these trucks aren't being built tomorrow. You're seeing that over 3 or 4 years. I still have heartburn that in COVID, 9/11, because it's been 25 years since a lot of money got pushed out through grants and stuff, so the industry is saturated with plenty of business, if you will. So that doesn't help the cost of apparatus. I just still bothers me, and I talked to one of the representatives from this manufacturer. You know, we had a contract on one truck one time, and they came back and basically said we couldn't have the truck unless we paid this amount of money, and they were going to sell it to somebody else. At least that's the way I heard it from where I'm sitting. That's a terrible way to do business. And I did talk to like a sort of representative of that company, and I don't say that they're doing anything wrong, but that's just a terrible way to do business. At the same token, when we're looking at on this truck, I've mentioned, and we've had some discussion about fire and rescue as a whole, and that all the money, there is CIP and there is staffing and there's all that, but at the end of the day, it comes out of the same pockets. It's all the taxpayer pockets. So what I'm hearing you say tonight, and I'm just talking about fire truck, I'm not talking about equipment, Chief Scott, but we're talking about a $300,000 give or take increase is what you're asking for. correct me if I'm wrong, you would know best. I believe your fire station is the only one that does not have any paid staffing in it at any time. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And my point for bringing that up is, with this county is more than, I believe we appreciate our volunteers, and one of the ways that we've showed our way that we really appreciate our volunteers, because it's hard to do, is trying to make sure they have state-of-the-art equipment, and I believe the county will continue to do so. But I think when opportunities are given, you know, for example, Chief Scott comes here this evening, he's not getting paid to be here, to ask for this difference in money. He didn't come this evening to ask for additional staffing, which would have, if one person had been what they had asked, would have probably been $300,000 to $400,000 in salaries. So I just put that, I know we got the county administrator mentioned we got to figure out where the money comes from. But I think that, at least from my perspective, when I'm looking at these kind of things, I don't just say, well, just the cost of doing business and it is what it is. I think we take into account the entire operation. And I appreciate what all y'all do in Windsor. You know that. And I think, you know, this is not something they could help, obviously. And if you look at their apparatus, because we're talking about Windsor tonight, they keep their apparatus in great shape. They've always had impressive looking equipment regardless of its age. So they take good care of what is given to them or what they've earned. So we're not talking, and that goes to the testament. You could have just come here tonight and just stayed with the 1.5 and not remembered a word about any of the rest. It just shows that's what you got when you got citizens that are volunteering in our county. So you answered my question. Thank you, Chief Scott.
Welcome.
Any other questions for the
Yes. I agree with Joel 100%. You said you got your quote yesterday?
We got the updated quote. We had a prior quote from the same manufacturer in recent months, but he didn't meet our spec. So we met with him again last night, and he updated his
In
price-
writing?
In price, and I got it this morning by
And
email.
it's good for how many days?
This price is good through 12/26/25. That's the challenge we've run into with these manufacturers. They'll give us a quote, and in 30 days, that quote is going, and the price is going up. So each month we kick the can down the road. For instance, the price continues to increase.
So the truck price, is that fixed price or cost?
That's a fixed price for the manufacturer of the truck. And these delivery dates, I will point this out, Mr. Garner, correct? Am I correct? Mr. Garner, the delivery date of one manufacturer from when we met last night is between 33 and 36 months. The other manufacturer that we had is between 48 and 50 months. So they're all 3 to 4 years out of delivery times from the time we sign a contract. So until we sign a contract, we're still in hold to make any progress on this. The truck is 25 years old, be 26 years old this coming year, next year. And so it's aging. The standard is 25 years to be replaced, and we're still going to be 3, 4, 5, maybe 5 years, depends on the timeline this all happens, 3, 4 to 5 years of delivery date from the time this.
So this quote expires before we have the next board meeting?
It does. So if we don't take the action by then, we potentially get a letter of intent to get them to lock into us. I can't confirm that, but it's a possibility. We could do that potentially to maybe save the price. But if not, I do expect after the 26th, it's going to increase again. That's been what we've seen thus far with all the manufacturers.
So is the time difference between the two companies, is there value in one truck over another versus the amount of time it takes to manufacture?
They're both good trucks. They've got good reputation on both sides. I think it's just a matter of their orders, their workload, supply and demand.
So, seems like we need to make a decision and figure out where the money comes from later.
Well, we got to figure out the money comes from on the front side. But
I know we have the money in reserve, don't we?
Well, I got a question.
That's another.
$500,000 is a large increase from what we projected to be $1 million. So what else did you all spec that increased that cost?
There's nothing in there that's tremendous, Mr. Jefferson. As you'll notice from the prior requests that have come from other departments, they're all seeing the same thing we're seeing. I can certainly provide you our spec. If you want to see that, I'd be happy to provide it to you, so you can see what we spec. But it's not anything that's elaborate. It's pretty much, this truck's gonna be a 25-year truck. So we're trying to spec a truck, not for 2025, not 2026, but 2050. It's gonna last us till then. So we can't spec a truck today that's not gonna grow with us. This community grows over the next 25 years. We've got to plan for the future.
But you're planning in that spec in the building, $100,000 for equipment. But normally you replace equipment on the truck that you're currently using, right? To try to keep it up to date and repairing.
Of course, this is going to be a rescue engine. We are planning on putting e-tools on the truck. They're not cheap tools. In the past, our current heavy rescue, which was purchased in 2019, has hydraulic tools. And now we're looking for the future. E-tools are the way to go going forward. So we're going to put e-tools on this truck. So there's a cost to all that. I would imagine that's going to be the biggest cost, biggest part of our expense is going to be the e-tools, for instance.
So in the future, you plan to upgrade the E2s on your rescue truck too?
Not at this point. That's going to remain hydraulic. But this is a rescue engine, so it's going to be a secondary truck for that same purpose. As 460 continues to grow, more and more traffic, we see the need for additional tools there as well.
I understand that. But I think our county, we're gonna have to look at, I mean, we got this truck in the hopper now, you got other trucks that's coming along. $1.5 million this one, $1.5 million or more for the next one.
I mean,
Where in the world are we
I
getting
think
this
you've got a
money
good
from?
discussion with Mr. Scott standing here. How many pumpers do you have in your station, Chief?
We have 2 pumpers.
I'm talking about Class A pumpers, too.
2 pumpers.
Right? And that's probably relatively conservative in your building compared to some of our other stations. Is that fair to say?
I'd say.
So I think the discussion probably needs to be had at a different time, but I see where you're going with that.
Right. I mean, we as county, we have to come up with a standard for fire trucks, and every department don't need to go out there and order this particular brand truck or that particular brand truck. We need to be able to say, this is what we can afford. If you want a truck, you have to order this truck here.
This is a first-run engine, front-line engine, first-run truck. It's the lower price we received is from Pierce. Everything in our apparatus bay is currently Pierce. Everything we have is there. So there's certainly some manufacturers out there that we talked to that were more than that, but we have got a price that's lower than that. That's what we haven't made a vote yet because we haven't have any funding available. We can't make a decision through our apparatus committee what we're going to do. But we do feel like there are some options that we can fund this project within the amount of money that we're requesting.
So the difference between, most likely, if we didn't do anything very soon, by the end of that date, it's going to cost the county about $50,000 to wait another month, give or take. That's probably one of the best scenarios.
I couldn't get an exact number,
4%
but
per
that's
quarter
a projection.
on that truck.
So the 1.35, that's a Pierce.
That's correct. And that's including $100,000 projected for equipment with that, Mr. Robertson.
So it does have the equipment in there, Dale.
That, they did not include that.
What you're asking for has equipment in it.
Yes, my request includes that allotment for equipment. It does.
So the truck itself is 1.2.
1.2.
Yeah, I think you said that.
Rough number is 1,220.
And that's actually I would believe that y'all are getting a good deal on that truck for one unit. It's not like you're buying multiple engines.
We were pleased with the figure. We haven't made a decision to go with that truck yet, but
It would seem to me they've sharpened their pencil a little bit on that one, which I think is a testament to what y'all have done.
I think so.
Don't all the squads have the same specs, or does each squad have the ability to choose?
Everyone has their own apparatus, different specs, different needs. For instance, there's not a ladder in our station. The ladder is in 3 other stations in the county. We have no ladder today.
Because you don't have any buildings that tall?
I'm sorry?
Because you don't have buildings that tall to need it?
We do have warehouses that exist today. There are warehouses that are proposed in our district, but we do not have a ladder today. That's not to say that in the future that won't be a need. We have a heavy rescue. There are 2 heavy rescues in the county. 1 heavy rescue in our station, 1 heavy rescue in Smithfield, Station 50. So every station doesn't have the same apparatus across the board. The typical pumpers, tankers, brush trucks, they're pretty standard.
Oh, okay. Do we have the ability to fundraise or ask for grants or, you know, for businesses to give money, or even the town of Windsor. I know I was on Smithfield Town Council, as you know, prior to being on the Board of Supervisors, and on a fairly, I would say, characterized regular basis, the town of Smithfield would also kick in money for apparatus.
The town of Windsor has not done anything for us from that recently. When the county and the town had an agreement in 2007, those funds kind of stopped within the town, but that was something that happened in the past. But nothing since 2007 has been any equipment funding from the town.
I'd say when something goes up 220,000 from what was budgeted, that we should leave no stone unturned, or couch cushion overturned, or whatever euphemism you'd like to make. But I think that we have to look for money in a lot of places. I know that you all have a bustling volunteer corps, and that you probably have money in your account that you use for education, and also to make up the difference in paying for equipment as you outfit a new truck. I mean, is there capacity for the volunteer squad to use funding towards it as well?
Over the years, we use funds. We have make upgrades to equipment. We typically do that on our own. We make improvements to our equipment. I will kind of piggyback off Mr. Acrie's comment. We're the only station in the county that's 100% volunteer.
Sure.
As you may recall, there was some needs within the county for staffing. I think I was told $145,000 per person. And of course, by the time you add your staff or for a whole crew, you're looking probably this much or more for 1 year to add staffing for a station. That's going to be year after year after year. We're requesting a one-time contribution in addition to the $1 million just to buy the truck, and that's going to cover the purchase of the truck, and it should last us 25 years or more.
Yeah, I get that, and I get that you're up next, to get the replacement, et cetera. So, but I'm just talking about if it's a $220,000 nut to crack.
I think you got a good point. So when Smithfield's platform came up for discussion, we were budgeting, and if off a couple $100,000, I apologize, $1.3 million for aerial devices. That truck came in at 1.7, 1.8. I might be a little bit conservative on that, but I think that's roughly the point, okay? And the discussion was they had a contributor that was willing to give them, call it $700,000. And at the time, the county administrator, just due diligence, said, hey, then they need to put that towards the cost of the truck, and it won't be anything extra, or won't be whatever it is they wanted, or I don't know how to best phrase it. And the intent was, no, we're still going to hold to the 1.3 million, because if a department has the ability to fundraise, we shouldn't penalize them. If Smithfield goes and Smithfield Foods helps them, I saw the wonderful advertisement. It was really good. And they're able to do that. That's wonderful. But don't penalize and tell Smithfield, for example, okay, now that you got $400,000 from Smithfield Foods, we're only going to give you $1 million, and you can come up with the $400,000. I don't think that that's what the company is trying to do, Smithfield Foods in that case, and I don't think that's what the community, when they donate money, a lot of them say, I pay my taxes. That's what's
Right.
paying for the apparatus. So you want me to donate also to guys and gals that are volunteering? And that's been the pushback I know that, or some of the thoughts that I got when I was volunteering, and we would go for funding. But I guess the point was back to where does the extra money come from and that kind of stuff. When it came from Smithfield, they were able to get additional funding, and they weren't penalized for that, and made to go back and say, well, we'll just carve off the $400,000 that you got donated off your truck, and the county will keep that money. We didn't do that. I don't know if that. I think that speaks to that same kind of thing. They could have bought a cheaper truck. And if we had done that, they'd had to have bought a cheaper truck.
Well, the town of Smithfield doesn't buy a cheaper truck when they go to do
The
it.
town of Smithfield doesn't buy a truck. The county does, and
I mean, excuse me, the fire department
the
doesn't.
county didn't buy it. The fire department didn't buy it. The county did. You know what I mean? I mean, at the end of the day,
I do
they
know
ended
what
up
you
coming
mean,
with
but the town
$400,000.
kicks in money.
I didn't see any
when-
money from
when
them.
things-
No. Nope. That stopped the same time Mr. Scott just said the town of Windsor stopped.
Why is that?
It's a long conversation, and I probably don't know all the details. But that was back in the day, the two towns used to contribute to fire and rescue. And during something that happened back then, I wasn't on this side of the bench, if you will, or whatever, it stopped.
Well, maybe the price just went up and we have to ask again.
Can you recall that when the CIP was put in place, that number was established for 1 million? I don't know when that was established.
I was gonna ask Gary to come up and maybe help with a couple of these, because we just made some adjustments to the cost within the last couple of years, I
Yeah,
believe.
so if you remember this year, this money actually was not in the county CIP money, if you will. This was $2 million that was part of the Sycamore Cross. And they gave $2 million to the county for CIP projects. So that money, Mr. Keaton set aside $2 million for fire rescue and the apparatus. With that money, we got 2 medic units, and then it was Windsor's engine. Our medic units have come in less, because each medic unit had a price tag of $500,000 on it, and then the $1 million for the engine. Those medic units have come in for less. So there is some money, maybe $150,000 left over from the medic purchases that can be utilized for this truck. We have one adjustment to the ambulance spec that we gotta do, and I gotta get a better, the end quote, from them. But there is money available in that $2 million still.
Gary, you should have led with that.
Well-
You buried the lead story.
Well, when we say we gotta identify the money, we don't have final numbers on that. We've got some additional equipment, I think the
Power loads
Power loaders.
and new stretchers to go in
So-
them that weren't in the spec that we got from them.
So either way, it doesn't completely close the gap.
It doesn't completely, but it makes it a heck of a lot better.
Funding?
No, out of this CIP project. As part of the build of the ambulance.
And by the way, that $2 million, we could have used for anything in CIP. It wasn't specific to fire and rescue.
During the budget process.
During the budget
we-
process, right,
yeah,
but
we-
when we negotiated that and acquired it, it wasn't specific. The Community Impact Fund was specific to personal safety and reparations, whatever you wanna call it, but the $2 million
I
wasn't,
think it was just any CIP thing, and it was identified to
Yeah.
go to this.
that's
what-
just my recollection, not that it matters.
So what are the foggy numbers between them getting their newest updated quote truck and what we budgeted? There's obviously some money potentially left over there. So we're talking, you have to go for scratch and figure out where, anywhere from
Yeah,
100 to
we need to
200,000
revisit
is.
it, because we led with the information that we had, which was 1.5
It's gotten better as we
million.
went
So
for-
we got
ironically.
updated information literally
Today.
tonight.
Right.
It's all
So
new
that's why I'm saying we need to go back and figure out where the money's coming from, what all is needed, what we have, and if there's a deficit or gap, then we'll have to identify.
So that you can take advantage of a price quote that expires on the 26th of this month, is it possible to craft some kind of motion or some kind of action that's contingent on you all doing your jobs and, finishing specking out the rescue engines and coming up with how much is left from the money that was earmarked to be spent on apparatus, plus perhaps, us giving you the authority to go to the town of Windsor and saying, hey, the donut is 80 grand. So if you give 40, we'll give another 40 that we weren't planning on, and we'll put this thing to bed. I mean, can't we just authorize you to do that?
So I guess we could talk with your rep to see if a letter,
Yeah, we spoke last night about it briefly. That may be a potential where they
Yeah.
could potentially have a letter of intent would may lock the price in. I will say that there is also some discounts available for prepayment. They range anywhere from $45,000 to $110,000, depends on how much you pay up front.
we need the 110.
So I think
So it's the 1.220 million.
in order to accomplish that, you have to put
45-day or the?
989.9 is the upfront payment to accomplish $110,000.
I think our finance people can figure out whether it's better on our pocket or their pocket, but. True.
So 989,000 is what it would cost?
If you were to pay
You paid up front?
989.9 within 30 days of the contract, it
Prepay.
would be a discount of $110,000.
Because we have the money already, and it's in the bank. I don't know why you would finance it it's like putting something on a credit card when you have it in the bank.
Yeah, we're not talking about financing it, but I think the question was, is it better for us from an interest accrual standpoint?
Because a lot of people pay for the truck when it's done. Some people pay up front and get a discount because it's sitting in their bank.
Because we're talking 3 years out.
Finance person can tell us which one's best, which we don't need to know that. Which one's best, sitting in our bank or Pierce's bank? Which is best for us? Are we gonna realize $110,000? I don't know that we would.
Well, as a
but-
county, we've already demonstrated, we don't care where the money sits in a tray.
And is Pierce gonna come back in 3 years and say,
Well,
it's in the
we had one other
contract.
company, it was different, but I got you.
I would hope not.
We've
we-
been
we
down
hope
that
we do
road
as well.
before. They just hold the truck and say they'll give you money back.
That's what we did last time.
Well, then that contract should be amended and we should get the interest that they earned on it. If they say,
We
we'll
tried
give
it.
you your money back, they
We
should
tried
give us our
that.
money back.
They've got this truck sold to the next county.
Exactly.
If he walks away, they don't care if we.
We're
buy the
selling
truck or
spots
not.
in line.
What good is a contract then?
It's not worth much.
We found that out with Smithfield's truck.
that's why if we can stroke a letter that locks in that price to the degree that we can, that doesn't cost us anything to do that.
And we
You
have
see-
done that before.
Can we, maybe we should, I don't know if we need a motion or not, but I'm willing to make a motion that we at least allow Windsor Fire Department, at the very least, to be able to sign a letter, or the appropriate person sign a letter of intent for Pierce for the purchase of the truck.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree to that. I'd even agree to going one step further and asking them to,
I mean, if the county administrator, he figures out where the money and stuff is, I mean,
Right.
the next process would be, do you want to get a prepaid discount or don't you? So-
I trust staff to do all of that and I think we should let them do their job.
Yep.
Let's not push the motion until Rudolph comes back, if you will.
Oh.
Do we need to take a
Shoot, if you like.
5-minute recess for the sake of others?
Dale wants to hurry up and get us over with, he forgot stuff to do.
Okay, I'm here.
We've been pushing for a long time, and we already have one escapee,
I didn't even notice he left, sorry.
so.
He may not be hurt feelings when he comes back and the meeting's over, but I don't know.
Can we take a 5-minute recess?
Okay.
So
Back to meeting.
That's not my job, that's not my job. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Sure it is.
Oh, it absolutely is, and I should have. It's close, you're close, you're close. Yeah, you're close. Yeah. Haven't seen it at this point, because it sounds like they're about to make a
It's a
motion.
good day for after Christmas.
Okay, what's your flavor?
Well, again, I just want to reiterate, thanks for giving us a little break, but I just want to reiterate that with an overage that could be mitigated by, I don't know, paying in more quick terms, yeah, you know, however you want to say that. So, you know, decreasing the front lines days in AR, and the possibility of having money left over from other pieces of apparatus that are supposed to be paid for by money that we already have, as well as, you know, I think we should not leave any rock unturned, right? And I think that we should absolutely, I don't really care what happened in the past with the town of Windsor or the town of Smithfield, but, you know, things are costing more, and these guys and gals do a fantastic job for the community and the citizens, and I think that it's an avenue, you know, available to us, and we should ask them for money. I mean, it's $220,000, maybe less, more. Maybe we can bring that down, but I think as long as we're responsible about it, I think the town could donate money. I think the, you know, rescue squad probably has money. They have accounts, right? They do barbecues and fundraisers, and they spend money on education and outfitting, you know, rigs with things that they'd like to have that are maybe above what everybody else has, and they're certainly within their rights to do it. But if they have money that they can contribute, I think we should look at all of it.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make the motion that we authorize the county administrator to sign the letter of intent and then look at the funding or where he need to get the funding from to meet the payment requirement.
Okay. Do we need to put a number with that at all?
Well, he's gonna research it and see what funding we need. I guess the letter of intent would have to specify what the spec price is, would it?
So let me ask a quick question, because obviously the letter of intent is one avenue. If it's deemed, well, scratch that language. If we discover that we have enough funding on hand to move forward with the advance payment, which saves $110,000, would you all be comfortable in moving forward?
I would think so, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Because we were discussing, we think we might be there, or we're gonna be pretty close. But if that's within your comfort level, then we can perhaps look at that as an option as well.
I mean, should we set like a standard deviation or a percent above or below, or
I would
just
say
say?
up to $1 million, and then,
Can you help us with that, Bobby? Is that,
I mean, I think that's all that it is a motion that, I mean,
proceed.
to proceed, if the county administrator can locate the funds.
Yeah.
would you help us craft that motion a little bit, maybe if it's
We
okay?
just made a motion, all we gotta do is amend it a little bit to say that he got to lead you
That
pen and grant.
you would need a motion to authorize the county administrator to execute a letter of intent. But if the county administrator and staff is able to identify funding, full funding for the project, that he may move forward. And the price was
$989,000.
whatever I didn't.
$989,000.
The pre-purchase
The
amount.
to move forward with the pre-purchase discount price, or prepayment discount price.
Okay, that's a motion.
Okay. All right. So, any further discussion? We have a motion on the floor. Madam Clerk?
Ms. Roundtree?
Yes.
Mr. Akery?
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Gardner.
Mr. Jefferson?
Yes.
Mr. Gardner?
Yes.
Chairman Rosie?
Yes, so moved. And if we don't have any further comments, we are adjourned.
All right.